We are live. Welcome to EdCamp Live.
Thank you.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
Doing good.
Right.
And hopefully we'll have some more people pop in. I know last EdCamp home I would pop in and out of sessions, so feel free. You know, that's how EdCamp works. Is if you're not getting anything out of the session, pop out and go find something that does help you. But this whole session was brought on by, I feel like there's a lot of things over the last, couple decades. This is coming up on my 21st year in teaching, and I feel like the relationship with parents and teachers become a lot more challenging. There's some amazing parents out there, definitely, but you see it in mainstream media, you read about it, you see all those things. Kind of like, how do we address this issue and be more proactive as educators about creating a more positive relationship with our parent community? So, anyone want to jump in and how you do that?
Well, I'll jump in here. One of the pieces for me is it seems the parents that are the easiest to get involved are the ones where the kids are most successful. So the challenge is how to bring in and make more connections with the parents of the more challenged learners.
And so, is there anything you've tried that hasn't worked, John, or like that you tried that was worked, or?
One of the things I tried last year, I tried having more communication, like with Remind 101, email, inviting them in terms of the Edmodo site to be following what's going on in the class. But I found that approach didn't work. They were too busy, didn't have the time. So I'm looking at a way of more directly. One thing I've been tossing around is even getting out, if they don't come to school, getting out and meeting them somehow in the first days of school.
Yeah, I know my dad, who was a principal, used to have a tea like at a different parent's house and invite parents to come over and have a parent host that, and then try to build relationships that way by having community like get-togethers and small, like in a house that somebody invited local parents to come and get together and be able to, like make that connection. It's so hard. We're so busy. We're so, we have so many things going on to really get a chance to really connect with parents. So I think trying to find opportunities for that. Anybody else? I mean, or John, continue, or?
Well, I just think.
Go ahead, John. Hop in there.
Well, I was just actually having this conversation with my superintendent today. I'm an elementary school principal, and I think one of the things that we're going to do this year is we're a low-income community, and we have 2 large apartment complexes. And we are going to start taking some of our, what we would consider our parent night activities, to the apartment complexes. They have community rooms, because I find with a lot of our parents, school wasn't a great experience for them, and so they're very timid about coming into school. So we're going to try to kind of take school to them and see if that can help kind of ease some of their anxiety.
I think that's a great way to really try to get out in the community ourselves as educators. Anybody else want to add something in there, like what are you doing to create better parent-school relationships?
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can, Todd.
Yeah. Yep.
One thing I've done, we've always had our PTA, Home and School Club meetings at night. Coming year, to shift it, we're actually going to have them scattered throughout the day. Some in the morning, some in the afternoon, even at lunchtime, and keep our evening ones as well. Not add more meetings, but just vary the times and try to combine them with other functions, like a principal's coffee with one of the morning ones, have a tour of the campus for lunchtime, homeschool club meetings, just to bring more people in and get more involvement.
Very cool. Have you ever considered broadcasting them, like using Google Hangouts on air or something like that?
I have. That's a great idea. I'm not sure how much of demand there is if our parents are pretty happy overall, so it's hard to get them involved because they're quite content. But it's a good idea.
One of the things you guys really fast you can do to avoid kind of any feedback here, if you're not using headphones, is just to click on the microphone mute button up at the top. That kind of and then that'll cut out any kind of like feedback we're getting on the recording. So if you're not talking, if you want to hit, then when you do talk, hit that mute or unmute and share with us. Thanks, Robert, for that, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to look at, well, just to follow up on the Google Hangouts. I think that's a great idea, and the reality is people can drop in whenever they want. They can see a couple of minutes. If it's archived later, they can see what's happening in the classroom on their own time. I think some of the pieces is in terms of families' busyness, it coincides with school busyness. So when I'm available, they're not.
That's so true, John.
How to connect with those families.
Right. We tried something the last couple of years. We did a flipped back to school night, and then we used our back to school night as a meet and greet to hang out and connect with parents rather than use it to stand up in front of them and present. Because we really felt like when we talked to the grade level team, the reason parents were at a back to school night, and we actually even surveyed our parents the previous year, was because they wanted to meet the teacher. They wanted to get to know who's this person's going to be with my child, like what kind of person are they, you know, what's it like, and so we felt like having a meet and greet the night would be a lot more productive than trying to spew a bunch of information really fast in a short time frame at a group of parents, hoping that somehow they would actually remember any of it to be useful throughout the year. And so we put that online, that information online, so they could access it 24/7. What was great for our second language parents was they were able to have a translator there to translate the information. A lot of benefits to it. But the biggest benefit for me was that we would traditionally have back to school night was we really got to build a relationship with the parents and talk about our program and just meet them and just hang out and talk and try to build that relationship to for them to understand where we were coming from as a group of teachers and what we really wanted to provide for our students.
And you know, we can't take, we can't take any of this technology. We can't just ignore it. I think we need to be able to use it. I think in our community, many of our teachers and many of our parents are kind of afraid to do something like this, like going on a live hangout, stuff like that. But I think we just need to tell them, make it inviting, make it interesting for them, because many of them work nights, work days, work evenings, have 2 or 3 jobs. Well, hopefully not, but they have quite a busy life. And I think that having this available to them and for them to be able to view it later as a recording is a great opportunity for us to be involved. But I love the whole thing about going out and actually into the community, which is I think would be a great option too. John was saying to go out there. I'm sorry, Carl, to go out there and meet with the parents in their community, in their apartment complexes, or in their community centers, whichever it may be.
Yeah, that face-to-face can't be beat, regardless of how many times you post things or email things, or just the face-to-face connection with parents and with the community is so valuable and so important for us as educators, whether we're teachers or administrators or whatever our role be at the school. It's just important for parents to get to know you as a human being, as a person, to see your you're passionate that you really want to impact their child and have a positive relationship with them as well. Any other ideas of how to do, create that?
One thing that I think we always talk about the principal-parent relationship and school relationships, but I think how our teachers interact with parents on a daily basis, I think is the biggest proponent in how they interact with children in the classroom. They're the ones who have 150 kids throughout the day if they're a middle school, high school teacher, and they're the ones building these interactions and working with kids. That's really where it starts. If the kids are involved, their parents slowly become involved. And all of those relationships are positive. The emails are returned in a timely manner. It's really, I've spent a lot of time educating our staff and working with our staff on how that relationship needs to be in order to have the opportunity for parents to want to get involved and not see school as an us-them issue.
And what do you do, Todd, with your staff as far as encouraging them or to make that connection with parents?
Well, first you model it, obviously, as a site principal. I return emails usually within 20 minutes, if not 24 hours, vice versa. And so modeling is key. When I get a good letter from a parent, it's about once a week. I share them about once a month. I'll read one or two with the staff and highlight some of the key things the teacher in question has done as a model for other teachers. And it's also just working, especially with new teachers. I know I can't force you to update your grades more than once a quarter or once every MQR, but if you update weekly, this is the benefits you'll see, and you meet and you talk and you slowly bring them through it. What else have you guys tried that's worked?
Carl, John, Rob?
I know it's Carl.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've done some work with Ruby Payne's organization in working on the skills to be able to communicate with parents in poverty, and for the teachers that do that, they do very well. The ones that kind of struggle with the parents are the ones who kind of forget what we've been talking about for the past couple of years. So just kind of reminding them. One of the biggest lines that we use with our parents is that we don't want your child to be cheated. But then it's important that your child's in school because we don't want them to be cheated, because one of the first things that will end up getting them fired is if they're not to work on time, and we don't want to be able to cheat them out of the opportunity to make money. Things like that. Try to bring it into the real world. But also then with our staff to let them know with some of our parents, in getting to know them, it's a marathon and not a sprint. Like I said, we deal with a lot of parents that had some school phobia issues, and school's not an easy place for them to go to. And you could see the blood pressure go up. You can see the anxiety level go up. So we just have to really be careful what we say and how we say it. And as the building principal too, have to do a lot of that modeling for some of our teachers.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge, the modeling from a principal, and I think encouraging teachers to step up and also be models for that as well for their peers, and to be able to really get those relationships. Can we stop really fast and just have each person introduce themselves and tell a little bit about who you are and what level you're teaching at or administrating at? Carl, let's start with you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Carl Stuckel. I'm the elementary principal in St. Louis, Michigan, which is just a little bit smaller than St. Louis, Missouri. We have about 1,100 students in our school district, and I'm the principal of both buildings and also the special education director.
Gotcha. Jesus?
Yeah, Hello, I'm Jesus Morales, and I'm from El Paso, Texas. I'm a fourth grade dual language teacher and technology coordinator for Herrera Elementary. We're a small school. We're a new school. We're about 500 or so, and we've been going on for about 8 years. Our community is tough to communicate with, and we try to use as many tools, whether it be a phone call, whether it be online, and then also our teaching community is hard to get them to accept all this new resources, which is the way we should be looking at them.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, John Schneider. I live in Waterloo, Ontario, but I teach in Niagara Falls, New York. Small Catholic high school, and religion and social studies. And I'm a career change. I went to high school after teaching at the university level for a number of years, training counseling psychologists and working with families and adolescents. So the family piece is big for me.
Very cool. And Todd?
Hi there, Todd Feinberg. I'm a principal middle school here in the Bay Area, California, about 20 minutes south of Palo Alto, where I am right now. My third year as a principal. It's a well-to-do district, sort of making that transition into sort of the next level of Bay Area wealth. So our test scores have risen, and our community has gotten a little more involved in that way as a new type of family has moved into our area. Great school. Love being principal there. Would probably do it for free. This is being recorded, is it?
It is. And broadcast globally.
There you go.
So okay, so what else do you see and there's as teachers to do to promote that positive relationship with parents besides being more transparent, I guess would be a good way.
Go ahead. Sorry, John.
Okay, Todd. One of the pieces for me is in terms of looking at parents and the challenges that are in front of them in terms of dealing with us at school. One for me is making sure that when their son or daughter does something that's successful, that they hear about that as well. I think some of those, Carl and Jesus were both mentioning it, those parents who are more challenged in terms of dealing with school because of their own negative experiences, if all they're getting are the phone calls, the emails pointing out failures or mistakes or somebody in trouble again, I think that compounds it. Whereas if they have an opportunity to actually see successes, even if they're small, it helps us establish a different kind of relationship with that parent. I think it's easier to be together and on the same team then.
For sure. Todd, go ahead.
Sorry, I was searching for a blog. I actually posted about this. We have a teacher who finds out who the quote-unquote challenging students are the first few days of school from their previous teacher. And these are the students where the teacher makes a phone call home the first 2 or 3 days about how much she loves to have these kids in her class, and how impressed she is. And the parents usually say, this is the first nice phone call I've ever received from a school. And these are students in 7th and 8th grade. And to have the first nice phone call after 8 or 9 years in school is, that's a thing right there. And these kids, they behave extremely well in our class, and the parents have a different view of the whole school because of a simple call. I think that's one point, just to follow on what you said, John, Carl, but also, or sorry, John, but also what I think is key is when a teacher does make a mistake in the class, whether it's an unfortunate slip of the tongue with sarcastic comment or just something where they know in their heart of hearts they shouldn't have said or done what they did, owning up to it, not making it worse, apologizing to the student and the parent, it goes a long, long way. I always support the teacher even when they've made a mistake. I'm going to support them in front of the parent, and then privately we'll have a different conversation. But when a teacher has made a mistake and says to the student, you know what, I'm sorry for what I just said, or I'm sorry I did, in private is fine, and then makes the call home and says it, the parent says, you know what, 9 times out of 10, they'll say, thank you for calling. I understand I make mistakes too. And that avoids that battle. And when you have one unhappy parent with a mission, it quickly spreads in your school, and it's very hard to contain that kind of negativity.
Sorry about that. My computer almost died on me.
Scott,
Anybody else?
Scott, are you a teacher?
I am. I've been teaching for 20 years, and I've taught third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and high school. So,
what do you feel are the best ways to have that teacher-parent community relationship be effective?
I think you need to meet parents where they're at and have some empathy. Parenting is, to me, probably the most challenging thing you face, because the amount of love you have for that child, and you want the world for them, and conversations with them. I think accessibility and definitely transparency are really important. So, using tools like 3Ring, it's something I've been trying to use over the last couple of years to, show parents like what's happening in the classroom. I think that's really important for them to be able to know what's going on. I also think, just taking that time to really kind of connect with parents on a personal level. It's something that I think is a scary thing for especially new teachers. They don't want to make those calls. It's easier to kind of send off emails, but I think connecting with parents and having those phone conversations. I guess the further I've gotten in my career, the more I feel like a phone call is way better than an email. Tone of voice is huge, and tone can be lost in emails. So I think just picking up the phone and letting those parents hear, that you're not calling because you're mad at their child. You're calling because you care about them and you want to see them succeed, or that you're calling because you do something positive. And so, one of the things that I really love to do is have positive phone calls. So I still use this. I have an old phone card that I have left over. You can tell how old I am now. That I'll pass out for the kids, and they get to call home and tell what they've been doing in a positive way. So rather than making only calls when there's issues, it's hard. It's hard for a parent. It would be hard for me to have only phone calls when my son's had problems, are you going to tell me something good that my son's done, or so I think as teachers we need to really initiate positive conversations about students first before parents have to hear of something that may have been a problem and may have been an issue at school or things like that. So I think really making an effort to create that positive contact on a regular basis too. So whether it's getting a checklist and making sure you contact all your parents. On a regular basis, whether and then again that it's an app, it's a website called 3Ring. I think it's a really great tool to use because you can shoot video of kids in activities in your classroom and share that directly with parents if they have an email. I know that can be challenging depending on the community, but I think some way to show parents what's happening in the classroom on a regular basis, not just open house.
I'll tell you, that's something.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that's something I started to do this year as I go into classrooms. Is that we have Facebook and Twitter pages for both of my schools. So I see something really neat going on in a classroom, I'll just take a picture of it and send it to I put it on Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of parents love that. And I said it's a way to kind of break down with some of those barriers for those parents who don't come to school. As I'll ask them, well, do you have Facebook? Yes. Well, here's our Facebook. Here's our Facebook page. Would you just like us and check things out? And then with that parent, I always make sure that when I go in the classroom, I take their child's picture.
Yeah.
So when they come up on the page, they see their kid's page. They see their kid's picture. And it's my next door neighbor saying hi.
Hey, it's Ed Camp Home. That's perfect. I really agree with that, Carl, because I'm always curious what's my son doing.
I'm on the phone right now. Yeah.
So
I'll talk to you later. My next door neighbors are also kids in my school.
Awesome. Yeah, so living in the community is another good way to build relationships with parents and things like that. But, I always wonder what's happening with my son while I'm away at work and things like that. So giving parents a chance to see that, I think, is huge. I think it's, it's something I would appreciate. I think if I approach, my students and I think, what would I want as a parent? What do I want as a parent? I think that's the best way to do it, because then I'm going to make decisions based on, what's the best for that child, what's the best for that parent, and thinking in the big picture, not just in the small minutia of the everyday classroom and the lesson and those things.
So Kevin Honeycutt was a presenter at one of our local professional development opportunities this past year, and his quote was, "We have to be able to tell our story because other people are telling our story and they're getting it wrong." So that's why we've been really active this year in our school, with teachers even doing that, getting on and putting the things up on their Facebook pages and such. We have teachers who set up their own classroom Facebook pages, and we're getting lots of positive feedback from that.
Yeah, we have so many tools too.
I saw a presentation by Adam Welcome. I'll post his Twitter here. He did a whole presentation on running your school through your iPhone, and it was amazing. And he basically says all of his teachers are on Twitter at his school, every single one, and they're posting throughout the day. He doesn't mind if they do it during class time. He wants them to post during class time, because then parents are getting it sent directly to their phone. They're at work. They see work that their child has done in class. He actually thinks the whole concept of back to school night or an open house, well, he says we have back to school night every day, all day, with the ability with Twitter. And I think it's I'm presenting to our school district on Twitter, hoping to have it happen again, and for this fall, see if I can get more of my teachers on.
It's awesome. We use an app at my site called BuzzMob, and it's a little bit more closed of an environment, so not everybody can kind of access it. You have to be invited and come into this community. But what the great thing is, especially for an administrator and a teacher, you can do push notifications. So I like that because, if there's an emergency or if there's a test or whatever, upcoming field trip, we can do some push notifications using BuzzMob to make sure that the parents are getting that information. We have Deborah joining us. Thank you, Deborah. Sorry it's been taking so long.
No worries.
So we're just talking parent and school relationship, and maybe right now we're kind of getting into the different tools that we use to communicate with parents and keep them informed. So feel free to jump in anytime, Deborah. In fact, Deborah, why don't you tell us where you're at and what grade level and all that kind of information.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and I'm from Los Angeles, and I teach middle school math and a STEM class next year that I'm real excited about, and I am the instructional technology coach in the district.
Awesome. And we're going to be wrapping up this session in just a minute. I want to try to keep to Ed Camp Home and Kelly and Carl and Sean and David's guidelines here, but any last kind of closing thoughts on creating better parent and school relationship? And we're going to be running this session again the second time, so if you missed out on this, feel free to hop in on the second one.
It's something that I always tell my teachers. I think it really carries over with parents too. and that you can't have a kid's head until you have their heart. Until you've really built that relationship, true learning's not going to take place. That's the same thing with our parents. We have to take them where they're at, and then move from there.
Awesome. Any other final closing thoughts?
Yeah, one closing thought is just for us not to forget the personal. And as a teacher, one of the things for me is to participate as much as possible in whatever's going on after school. Showing up at games, even if I can't be for the whole game, showing up at theater productions, showing up at Masterminds competitions, and also using that opportunity when those parents are there, making sure that I visit with those parents while I'm watching their son or daughter play or participate. I don't think I can say enough in terms of the value of those connections as well. And granted, it's only those parents that are showing up in terms of their students being involved, but in a small school like I'm at, that's a huge percent of our parents.
So true and so important, those relationships. Todd, Jesus, Debbie, anything else?
I'll just echo what the previous two individuals said. The best part of my day is when the students arrive at school and I'm out there opening their car doors as they get dropped off, saying hi to the parents, telling them to enjoy the day. Just it sets it off at a right foot. You get about 100, 150 contacts with students, 150 contacts with parents. And the second best part of the day is at the end of the day, when they're leaving, I'm out there in the parking lot again, telling them to study, read their 30 minutes a night, every little bit, just another connection. And I have an assistant principal with me, teachers out there now doing it. It's just a really great easy way to build the community and to keep that contact.
Very cool, Todd. Hey, I want my son to go to your school. Sounds awesome. I'll never forget, my first few years of teaching, I was a little bit kind of crazy on this, and I said at back to school night, hey, and this was before I was married, if anybody wants to invite this single guy over for dinner, a free meal is always good. And quite a few parents took me up on it, and I went over and I had meals at their house. And the bond that was created around food,
Unbelievable.
I love the bond around food, and I love food. So anytime you can throw food out and enjoy that together, I think is a good thing. So call in those food trucks and have some parent food eating hangout night.
Good idea.
All right, you guys, thanks so much, and I hope you're enjoying Ed Camp Home. This is certainly a good experience for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Have a great night.
All right, have a good second section.